Hi, this is Sean Nelson with Sonar Connects, author of the Social Media Sonar blog, and today I want to talk to you about simplifying the social media process. When I'm out there talking to people, conducting workshops, or just really networking in general, a lot of people talk to me about social media since I write the Social Media Sonar blog, and I'm usually trying to find a good way to explain social media to them. And so what I did is decided that I would try to put somewhat of a process in place into a graphic. And so this is a blog post I wrote talking about the social media process, and we're going to scroll down so we can see the whole graphic right here that explains the process. Now, most people use the term social media, but what they're really talking about is social networking and social media. And so social networking really is about sharing the conversation with people. Social media is more about sharing the content. And so over here on the networking side, you've got sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. On the media side, you've got YouTube for video, Flickr for photos, and then WordPress or Blogger or some other platforms for writing your blog and publishing that. Now, the key to all of this is building communities of people that you can engage in conversations with or share information with as well. And so as you start to build these communities, you really need to make sure they're relevant enough that when you share information, you're touching enough people. And just to give you some numbers, I would say on Facebook, you probably want to focus on having about 1,500 friends. On Twitter, I would say anywhere from 3 to 5,000 to start and continue building that. And then on LinkedIn, it really depends on what your focus is. But I think having, say, 1,500 connections in your local community would be a really powerful resource for you to tap into. And so as you build these communities and you're engaging in conversations and you're sharing content, that's going to allow you to do a couple things. First, that ability to communicate and engage with people is really important, because that's how you start to get to be known within your community. You start to have conversations, you start to really find out more about the people that are within your community, and you're engaging with them on a daily or weekly basis. The second key is you're able to build credibility within these communities, and that helps you move along what I call a three-step process, really the process of familiarity. And that's where somebody first gets to know you, and that might be simply from connecting with somebody or becoming a friend of somebody's on Facebook or engaging in a conversation. The second part is once they know you, you want them to start to like you, and a lot of that's going to be driven by the value of the content that you share with them, as well as how you interact within these communities. And then the last step to really monetize your presence, people have to trust you. Nobody's going to buy a product from you or a service from you until they trust you. Third thing is you have the ability to educate and inform people, and that's where you really get to start sharing value. And the key to social media really is to dive into it with the thought process of I'm going to share as much information, as much value with other people without asking for anything in return, and that's going to come back to me at some point down the road. The final key to it is what I call Googleable, and that simply means that you're able to be found. Google's out there indexing a lot of this information on social media, and that's going to help you start to be picked up in keyword searches. The other thing is you want to be found when somebody does a search in LinkedIn for a specific person that handles a product or service, within Facebook, all these different networks. You want to be found whenever somebody searches for your product or service or somebody that handles that. And so I call that top of mind awareness. You want to make sure that when somebody has a need for something that you do, through all of these social networking, social media tools, you become the person that they think of first. And so all of these pieces are going to allow you to eventually monetize your presence on social media. Now, social media can take up a lot of your time. If you're looking at spending 30, 40 minutes a day on LinkedIn, same thing on Twitter, on Facebook, you're producing video, uploading photos, writing blogs. That all takes a lot of time, so you really need to think about why you're on social media. And from my perspective, the only reason to be on social media really is to find a way to monetize it. Now, if you're doing this strictly from a social perspective, maybe that's not important, but as a business owner, that monetization is the key, because you always have to weigh what you're doing with what you could be doing with that time instead. So hopefully this graphic makes things a little bit clearer to you, and hopefully it gives you somewhat of a path to start following to start involving yourself in social media, leading to that monetization process. Sean Nelson with Social Media Sonar. Have a great day.